How can you get your little child to sleep the entire night and not wake you up? Hi, welcome to Little Lessons. In our last little lesson, we were talking about how to prevent or stop your child from being a brat. And I thought it'd be good to continue on this same theme because the principles are the same when it comes to figuring out how to get your little child to sleep all through the night. It comes down to reinforcement. So I've had 3 children, my wife and I, and we succeeded in getting them to sleep all the way through the night pretty early on. And so I'm going to share my secret with you so that you can also enjoy a good night's sleep. All right, so what happens? You bring those little babies home, and boy, are they cute, but they want to be fed, every so many hours, and it doesn't fit into your sleep schedule at all. And so they wake up, crying in the middle of the night. They want to be fed. And if you're nursing your baby, then, generally mom has to get up and take care of that. Although we all know there are ways around that for dads to get involved. But who wants to be doing that, for months and months and months? Not me. And the more kids you have, the more you love to sleep through the night. So what do you got to do? Well, you got to use the principle of reinforcement. So once you determine, well, you have to agree with this between you and your spouse. Once you determine that your child will not die if they go through the night without being fed, which is pretty early, and I'm not going to give you any numbers here because I don't want to sound dogmatic, but goodness, I have known parents who they're waking up in the middle of the night to take care of their kids when they're 2 years old, because they've just gotten into the habit. The kid is on that kind of a sleep cycle, and they may not even want to be fed any longer, but they're just, waking up because they're used to that, and they're crying, and they're, again, trying to ruin your life. So once you've decided, it's not that long after they're born when they're going to survive a night without eating. So they wake up in the middle of the night. You hear them crying. You've already agreed, tonight's the first night we're not going to feed that child. And you lay there, and those little babies cry, and they try to break your heart. Oh my goodness, are they good at that? They scream louder, and it becomes more desperate. And if they could speak your language, they'd be saying, "What's wrong with you? Don't you love me? You're not worthy to be parents. If you're going to allow me to be in this state of hunger in the middle of the night." That's what they'd be saying. That's what they're thinking, obviously. And you have to grab your spouse's hand and say, "We decided we're going to make it tonight." And you lie there, but here's the test. Because if after 15 minutes one of you says, "I just can't take it any longer, I've got to go feed that baby. That baby's breaking my heart," and you go in, and then you feed that baby. You know what you just taught that baby? If you want to be fed, just scream for 15 minutes. That's all it takes. And that little baby has just figured that out. Okay, now I know what I'll do tomorrow night. So you've just made your job that much harder. You've reinforced negative behavior. So what do you got to do? You got to be tough. And this is one reason that God made parents bigger than their children. Look in the mirror and see how big you are compared to them and realize, I'm bigger. I've got a competitive advantage over this little person. There's no way that it's God's will for this little tiny thing to ruin my life at night. We talked in the previous broadcast about ruining your life in the daytime. Okay? So if you survive that first night when they might cry for a half hour, but eventually they fall back asleep because they just tire themselves out. And in the morning when you go in there, they're not dead. They're still alive. They made it. And you can feel good that you had a night where you got a little victory, and that's a promise of better things to come. The second night, the next night, they will wake up again. This time, the crying might be as long, but chances are it's going to be shorter in duration. It gets a little bit easier. So the first night is the most difficult. I think the second night is the second most difficult. And then the third night, they're going to wake up. They're going to cry. And they're, but they're not going to go as long this time. And I can't tell you how many nights it's going to take. For our kids, I don't remember it being more than 5 nights or something. It all depends on how strong-willed the child is, and it all depends, kind of on what you've reinforced already. When our kids were born, we learned to tell them, we were here first, and we already had a family before you showed up, and we love you, but you are not going to ruin our lives. And we knew that was best for us, but also best for those kids too. They need to know that they're a part of an already existing family, and they're not the king. No, they're not the king. Mom and dad are the king and the queen, okay? All right, so the night will happen. It might be 3, it might be 4, it might be 5 nights or whatever, but the night will happen when they won't wake up because it hasn't been reinforced. Waking up has not been rewarded with milk. And if there's no reward for waking up and crying, there's no sense waking up and crying. And they sleep all through the night. And you wake up that morning and you go, oh my goodness, what just happened? We didn't wake up, there was no crying. And your first thought, of course, is, my baby has died. And you rush into there to make sure that that baby is still alive. And lo and behold, that baby is still alive. And voila, you have just succeeded. And you've learned a great principle that will pay rich dividends in your relationship with that child all the way to when they leave the nest. Reinforce what you want, reinforce behavior that you want to recur. Don't reinforce behavior that you don't want to recur. Okay? All right. Thanks so much for joining me on this special Florida Beach edition of Little Lessons.